I think we should just start every conversation with "you just don't know ball." It's like how people say hello these days. They say hello, hello. Whenever Matthew and I are in a conversation, we just start with "you don't know ball." I'm like, that's fine. I don't mind it at all. But yeah, we're here. We've just recovered from watching the African Cup of Nations final. I say we. I'm assuming Matthew, you watched the African Cup of Nations final.
Sure did, sure did.
Let's hear your thoughts on it. First thoughts, because that was a shock disappointment from Nigeria after having such a much better tournament than the Ivory Coast. The Ivory Coast, remember, they only qualified because they were one of the best of the third nations
Mm,
in the group stage as well. But let me hear your thoughts on that final, because that was an outstanding finish for the host
yeah.
nation.
No, it was. But you know what? If you deep it, Nigeria haven't played well. They haven't
That
been
formation was embarrassing. Five
embarrassed.
four one all tournament. It
It's
took us to
insane. And he's
crazy
been
before we even got in the game.
Calvin Bassey, Aina, and remember on they're keeping clean sheets. But you can't look at one game. Was there a game in the group stage where they performed well? Even then, Osman, very disappointing in this tournament. I know in tournaments things happen, but he's been absolutely awful. And
He
these are
just
the
didn't have the
games where
service though. When you think about it, you got 5-4-1, and one of the four players behind you is Alexander Iwobi. Like, come on now, that's just embarrassing from anyone's point of view.
I hear you, but
Iwobi can't create anything. It's embarrassing.
as the guy, the main man, you have to still do something. Pull it out the hat. You have to. Like, you're the man for your country. Everyone looks to you. I think they really miss Boniface. I genuinely,
honestly,
big time. I feel like if he was there, I don't think these games would have gone away. And obviously, it would have been a different formation. But I said to somebody, because I backed Morocco at the beginning of the tournament, I'm not going to lie, I thought they were going to win it. They flopped. But the way Ivory Coast got through after they got battered at home 4-0, I thought, nah, that something's going to happen. It's something weird. And then they went and beat Senegal when they were down to 10 men as well. And I was like, it's destiny now. And I think today there were points where I felt like the referee was trying to give it to them. You know what I mean? The referee was a bit poor in stages. But listen,
that's the crazy thing. It's one of the poorest performances we've seen in AFCON referees, because it's been so good flawlessly the whole tournament until the final. The stress must have got to him truly from that one.
Yeah, no, exactly. And do you know what I want to say though? Just I want to finish. This is the best part. Finish Sebastian Haller. Like, I'm the post up something on it. What a full circle moment. Like, genuine. Like, what he went through, come back at Dortmund, and I feel like a lot of people that didn't even know about him before, the story just brought them in and was like, this guy. Like, and you can see he's such a genuine guy. You know what I mean? And just seeing him get the win, I thought, imagine the emotions he's going through. You know what I mean? Like, on home soil.
It's honestly heartwarming when you're looking at what he's gone through, how he still plays the game at a top level as well. He could easily have retired, and you're looking at it now, and you're just like, this guy is just scoring the winning goal in the African Cup of Nations final in his home nation. This ridiculously talented player that came back from cancer. He has to have the recognition he deserves as well, because it wasn't the best of finals. Let's be honest, it wasn't as entertaining. I think ever since the World Cup in 2022, we'll never get a better final than that. But in terms of the quality of the game, still wasn't great. Very defensive, a very un-AFCON final from what we've seen from this tournament. But he brought the shining light to it. Him, and especially I have to shout out Simon Adingra, who's my man of the match today. He was fantastic. And Brighton have got an absolute gem on their hands as well. What did you think of Simon Adingra on the left wing for the Ivory Coast?
You know what's so funny? Even I forgot you even went AFCON because I'm a big FPL fan. And I was like, why is this guy red?
Did you have him triple captain? Did you have him triple captain?
No. I was just like, where's he gone? Who's he going with? And then, I watched him for this. He's been quality. I don't know if it was you, but someone mentioned him before. And I was like, I'll see when I watch. It was very good. Been very, very good. And I love these tournaments because, like, I love seeing these type of players who I think I'd love to see you go and get moved. Like, look at, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Trust-Ekong.
Trust-Ekong, the former Watford player. Or does he still play for Watford?
Yeah, Watford. He's looked absolute quality in this tournament. Solid at the back.
Taking penalties ahead of Osimhen. That's a bold shout as well. As the captain of Nigeria. He's like, nah, Victor, don't need you here, my friend. Gotta go. I'm the captain. I am the captain of this.
You know what I mean? And again, that's something with Osimhen where I think, like, are you really that guy? Like, you're letting call this a captain, but the centre-back take pens over you.
It's not a good moment. It's not a good moment at all when you're looking at that. Trust-Ekong, I know he scored all the penalties he's taken, but I mean, like, Victor Osimhen, he needs to be getting his tally up for Nigeria as well. Would have helped his confidence for the rest of the season, because he's now go back to Napoli, They've got to face Barcelona soon in the Champions League. Not this week coming, but he's got to go back to domestic football. And his heart is going to be broken after that tournament.
Yes, definitely.
Nigeria, my favorite sort of tournament. They were my first pick in our Friday night counter-attack little draft that we had, sweepstake that we had, the name.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought it was HOJLUND's time. I really thought he had it. And this Portuguese coach is like another Jose Mourinho. You're looking at him and there's like 5-4-1. What more do you want in African football besides keeping the ball out the net? Fair enough, he wants to do it, but it did not happen for him today. It was just really, really unfortunate. Really, really, really unfortunate as well. But fantastic tournament, fantastic game to watch as well. And I'm sure we'll be talking about AFCON going forward as well, because it was such an incredible conversation to have as well. But realistically speaking, we need to talk about the elephant in the room. Actually, there's 6 elephants in the room we have to talk about. Danny has not turned up for the stream today, and I wonder why. So, Danny, as everyone knows, is a West Ham fan, and West Ham lost 6-0. They held 6 today at home to someone's red and white team today. So it wasn't my team. We played them last week, and we had a humble victory at home, and Calvin Phillips was awful in that game. But I need to hear from someone who watched the game properly, who understood the game properly, and has a thing or two about today's game that he has to say. So by all means, take away. Arsenal won 6-0 against West Ham. The floor is yours, Matthew. I wouldn't even interrupt. I want to hear your thoughts on it, man. Let's hear it.
Now, you know what? We absolutely smoked them. I feel like we owed them this. I was on a podcast.
What do you mean by owed them? What do you mean by owed them?
No, but you know what it was, yeah? I don't know. For those that watch my podcast, I did a podcast with a West Ham fan a few months ago when they beat I'm not going to go, when they beat us 2-0 Emirates.
Yeah.
And we did batter them then. You know, it was one of them games, they got their 2 chances, clinical scored. Cool. And they were hammering me in the comments, oh, Arsenal this. I said, that's fine. But we will get up. And you know how football works. You have that game and you go back and, you know, you're going to have a decent one. And I knew from the first 10 minutes we were going to have this type of game. We're going to batter them. And I'm so, as you can hear, I feel so good about it as well. And when I saw the fans leaving early, I went, I love it. The bubble has burst. You know what I mean? You're struggling. Declan Rice scored 2 assists. By the way, let's talk about his set pieces first of all, right?
I need to, because this is still new for me. Him on corners and him on free kicks, setting up chances. Is he going to have assists to his game going forward, especially for the Euros? I'm excited to see it from a neutral point of view. I'm also scared from a Man United point of view as well. That's crazy talk, that is.
No, I think he is, because, you know, it's funny. I saw a training, I think when they were in Dubai, I watch a lot of the videos and the pictures, and I was like, why is Declan taking corners? Like, I was like, what's going on? Like, and I was thinking,
it'd normally be the one nodding the ball in.
You know what I mean? But then I watched the video and went, this set piece wasn't too bad. And if you look at the deliveries today, they were spot on. The one to Gabriel is you play football yourself. You know, when you put in that corridor of uncertainty, right in between the keep, there's nothing you can do. Like, literally, as a keeper, you can't come out. The defenders, you don't know where to go. And honestly, great set pieces from him. He was fantastic the whole game. And I think, again, he owed them that, because the last 2 games against West Ham was a bit iffy from him. But I think the whole team did well. I think Saliba was imperious as well. My guy, Saliba. You know, I've always got my guys, you know, Matt knows ball and all that. But
can we talk about Gabriel, though? Because, again, he's still not getting the credit he deserves in the media, in the mainstream media. Let's hear a bit about Gabriel, if you can.
You know what is with Gabriel? I feel like Saliba's seen as the more glamorous one. And we've said it before, and it's centre back.
The one that makes the random videos on the internet, yeah, with Kolo Muani. That's glamorous, is it?
Oh, you know what? The videos where he scores headers. But yeah, you know...
that type of header. I get what you mean.
We've got him, Nuno Tavares. Anyway, let's not get into it. But yeah, listen, I think Gabriel's been fantastic this season. And I think what is with Gabriel, he's more the rugged one. But his goals, I think, how many goals is he on this season? I think it was about 11.
Who's on what goals?
Gabriel.
Gabriel's not on 11 goals, surely.
No, but he scored. I think not just this season. I think in general. I think for defenders, he scored quite a few for a centre back. Incredible amount. And this
he scored 13 of all time, if that's what you're asking. But I think 11 for the season.
Not for the season. No, not for the season, but yeah, of all time.
4 for the season.
This season, he got 1 against. So got the Liverpool one, this one, Palace. Palace 2, wasn't it? Palace 2 goals.
I think so.
Or 1, they maybe didn't. My FPL team suffered. I think they didn't count 1 of them.
I just don't play FPL anymore. I'm too busy. I'm too busy.
I'm going to get back into it, man. You're going to get back because you know ball, bro. You're going to get back into it.
I'll get Sam and Dingra a wild card. It needs to be done.
But no, honestly, and I look at Gabriel, and again, you're right. I look at, even when I watch blogs and other things, he doesn't really get the credit. But he's honestly, without him, I don't think would have been as solid at the back as we have been, because Saliba has had the odd off game, and Gabriel for me has slightly been a more consistent one.
My cat was watching AFCON. I'm just responding to a text, and I'm just like, my cat's watching AFCON, so I need to get this on recording. Shout out Shuri. I'm really happy. Yeah, Shuri's watching AFCON. I love it. I love this game. That's made my day. But no, Gabriel, I mean, I just don't know what more needs to be done, because I'm going to talk about my centre backs in a bit from Man United. But let's just hear a bit more from Gabriel from your point of view before going on.
Yeah, and you know what? When he first come, because if you think about it, he was one of the first that believed in this kind of project.
He was one of the first signings in the new project as well, right?
Exactly. We bought him, I think it was like 27 mil from Lille. And I remember when he came in, I was a bit like, okay, let's see what he can do. Because
everyone was like, of all the players to buy from Lille, why'd you get Gabriel?
Yeah, because who else was in that? I'm trying to think.
Rafael Leao was there. Victor Osimhen was there. Jonathan David was there. Jose Font recently moved. You weren't going to buy him, but you know what I mean. It was around the time when they were challenging for Ligue 1.
As well.
Or they won Ligue 1 and then they ended up selling all their players that summer.
Yeah, after that. But yeah, again, I just think like what? And then there was the whole thing with him and Al Ittihad. I don't know if that was serious, the bid, where it was really going to go. And I was a bit concerned as to why he wasn't starting games at the beginning of the season. But since then, honestly, he's been fantastic. And as much as I love Saliba, people know he's my guy. I think Gabriel probably has to be like our player of the season so far, for sure.
Nah, that's fair enough. Are you excited for what's coming in the week?
What, in terms of what this weekend's games?
Next weekend's games, yeah. So this weekend it's been really, really entertaining. And I'm looking at next week's fixtures and I'm like, they're quite boring.
Is that we've got Burnley away, you guys
we've got Luton away, 4:30 Super Sunday. I mean, that's not a Super Sunday, that's a 3 o'clock kickoff if ever I've seen one. So I'm just like, that is not as entertaining as it can be. So we'll bring the entertainment for this conversation as well, but nicely done breaking down Arsenal demolishing West Ham United at the London Stadium. David Moyes deserves it for having an atrocious record as a Manchester United manager.
I've got a question for you, actually, quickly. I'm going to tell what, obviously, the shouting Moyes out, because I don't think I've ever heard you talk about West Ham. What do you think West Ham need to do? Because I've said that I look at West Ham and I really don't know what they're trying to get. Like, I know you've got Kudus, Paqueta, but no striker. Midfield, I feel like Edson Alvarez you've added, but they've got Ward-Prowse and Souček. I don't think that really works.
Do you know what it is for me? Yeah. I think it's just bad karma ever since Mikel Antonio said that thing about Richarlison. He's been injured ever since then. Richarlison's been on fire since then as well. Callum Wilson's been injured since then as well. Callum Wilson is now fully out of the England squad. You've got Watkins, you've got Tony, Solanke ahead of him. Callum Wilson's not getting back into the England squad, and Mikel Antonio's been injured all season, going on to Monday Night Football with his stupid hat as well, and you're just like, what is going on, man?
That looks like your swag, man. That's your type of thing.
That was me if I was born in the 1950s. That's what I'm saying. If I was born in the 1950s, I'd be wearing that as well, and I'd probably get justifiably abused, not racially abused, but I'd still get abused for wearing that as well. But West Ham United, you've got Scamacca on loan to Atalanta. I think he may have left on a permanent now as well, and he's a crazy striker. He's doing fantastic in the Serie A at the moment, and you're looking at them and you're thinking, when was the last time West Ham actually bought a genuine striker that worked so well? Mikel Antonio started as a winger. Jared Bowen started as a winger. Ben Rama's had to go out on loan. Fornalza's had to go out on loan. They've had to go out because they're trying to fund Calvin Phillips' wages. And you're just like looking at it thinking they're getting rid of their strength in depth. And it's looking embarrassing from a West Ham point of view. And I think because I've got quite a few West Ham friends, so I'm quite lenient towards West Ham because I'm like, you know what? I don't mind them Conference League winners last season. Have some good attacking, counter-attacking football as well. We've got Ben Johnson on the right wing, and you're just like, this is not happening for anyone at all. An injury to Bowen, an injury to Kudus, and you're starting Danny Ings again, just like Danny said last week. There's no strength in depth at West Ham, and it's very embarrassing to see a team that recently won a European trophy fall so far from grace as well. And I don't think West Ham will finish in the top half of the season, personally, for me. Top half of the table for me, personally. The injuries will do them, man. The injuries will do them. You'll have Brighton coming back up. Chelsea will come back up. I think Crystal Palace may even make a comeback later on, but we'll talk about them next week because they're on a Monday night tomorrow anyway, which will be good for them. I'm sorry, listeners. I'm used to looking down there, but I've not got my webcam, so I have to look up there where the camera is as well. And someone who should have been hiding from the cameras when he left the touchline today was Douglas Luiz, because what was that stupid dance about, man?
What was that about? Why? What was the reason behind that?
Douglas Luiz thinks is it, basically. He thinks he's the main man at Aston Villa because I put him in my team of the season on your podcast as well. So he's like, oh, yeah, let me try and annoy Hamza on Friday night counter-attack. It's got to happen. And it didn't work. It didn't work because the superior midfield general in that match, Scott McTominay, won it for Manchester United as well, which is great to see. Rasmus Højlund, 5 goals in 5. I said recently as well on this week's podcast, which you can listen on all streaming services, that Man United need to start building around a striker again. I think Rasmus Højlund is a striker to be building around. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do for the rest of the season. There's FA Cup games coming up against Nottingham Forest, and there's a league game against Luton next week. But today's scoring at Villa Park. And I mean, with Aston Villa fans, as you know, well, we've got a lot of Aston Villa followers who listen to us, which is great. And I'm glad that you're all here, which is fantastic. But you're looking at Aston Villa now. And ever since that first defeat at home, and now they lost against Chelsea in the week at home, and Manchester United again at home. What do you think about Aston Villa? Like, is the what's the term? Is the hype dying down now for Aston Villa? Do you think they're going to be crumbling because they've got Conference League football coming up as well? They're out of the FA Cup. They're not in the Carling Cup final. But are they going to really try and focus on this Conference League, or do you think Emery has that squad depth to continue building a Champions League side at Aston Villa? What do you think, man?
Do you know what? I feel like they were a bit unlucky today. They did have chances, Like,
I thought it was the most stupid thing from Unai Emery to take off Leon Bailey when he was absolutely cooking Victor Lindelof.
Yeah,
they could have won 3-4-1 in that second half just by having Bailly, Diaby, and Watkins, which is their prime attacking source of goals. Let's rest him.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I was going to say. He hasn't really started Diaby, and Diaby's been coming off the bench here and there. I think Watkins had a bit of an off game. I feel like Ramsey, I don't know if you saw the one where Bailey passed it through to him. We had to just control it, finish it. So, yeah, but you listen, United, at the end of the day, United are good at that, innit? And one thing I will say, Bruno put in a shift today. I'll say that. I think Bruno put in a shift today. And I think you lot did well. But, yeah, Emery will be disappointed. I feel like this high line thing they're playing, like, I understand if you play a high line if you've got quick defenders. They
can't play a high line with Clement Longley. That's all I'm saying. If it's Konsa and Pau Torres was on the bench for the whole game. It made no sense. Yeah. Torres and Konsa are Aston Villa's fastest centre backs, and you're playing Diego Carlos, is always injured, and Longley, who's lost so much pace since his injuries, going to Barcelona, going to Spurs, didn't really work out for him after Sevilla. It doesn't work because Højlund kept going through. Garnacho had so many chances going through and goal. Yeah. Marcus Rashford actually cooking Matty Cash as well. Just continued to happen. And that high line cost them at Old Trafford with a 3-2 defeat for them. Yeah. And it cost them today for the 2-1 defeat as well. So I'd say it was good analysis from us, but really bad analysis from Unai Emery and his team, because it doesn't work when you've got 3 fast attacking midfielders and 3 fast attacking strikers on the pitch as well.
But then if you're Villa, then how would you best play it? Because if you look at it, Watkins...
You drop 10 yards. You drop 10, 15 yards because you're just like, if you keep having that space, Emi Martinez is someday going to get sent off by all the sweeper keeping. And it nearly happened again today, which was crazy to see. But how would you do it if you were at Aston Villa? What would you look at it from that point of view?
You know what? As you said, I think it depends on the centre-backs you play. I feel like when you play Longley and Diego, I think you've got to bring them back. I think you've got, like you said, drop them back. And we had Arsenal had the same problem when Saliba got injured and we're still playing holding and trying to play high. You can't do it. Unfortunately, there's some players you can't play that high line with. They miss some Mings. I still think, Boubacar Kamara went off. That was a blow to them, as well. And then Tielemans came off. But I just think they don't have because they like to play the one up top and then they've got the 3 behind. So Bailey...
they just have like 2 hanging off to the right-hand side.
Yeah,
like the inverted, which is
I just feel like they haven't got the balance right yet. And listen, Emery's in a sticky situation at the moment. And a couple of more defeats in the league, that whole, Aston Villa are going to do this well, completely gone. So he'll be disappointed. But I think they've got enough quality to probably maybe get into Europa, I would say. I think the top 4, I think they're going to get swamped up now. I feel like Tottenham are up there. United, how far are you off Tottenham? Is it 6 points?
6 points now. No, 5 points now. 5 points off top 4.
So I feel like you guys putting a run together, you've got decent fixtures apart for the next 5, 6 at least. Yeah. So I think Villa are kind of out of it. I think you guys and Tottenham will start battling for that position now.
I think top 4 I think the only one who can stop top 4 is Man United. If Man United want to stop our own run. It will be down to our own downfall, mostly due to injuries, but mostly due to our ineptness in front of goal. And you see that quite often. And annoyingly, today, you're looking at it and you're thinking, oh no, it's going to happen again. It's going to be another Wolverhampton Wanderers away performance. And you're like, oh God, this is happening all over again. And then out of nowhere, Scott McTominay comes on for Marcus Rashford. And you're like, Eric Ten Hag, are you trying to play for a draw? Are you trying to defend the game? We were getting overrun in midfield because Diaby had a lot more space to drop in and pick out pockets as well. And that's where Fernandes kind of sacrificed his own game to play deeper in that midfield and play on the right wing as well to allow McTominay to come in. But I really like what Eric Ten Hag did at the end of the game, where he brought Evans and Amrabat on. And normally he doesn't do that. He doesn't park the bus. But the fact that he actually listened to Steve McLaren this time and his staff this time, because we've seen it so many times under Eric Ten Hag, you're losing last-minute goals or he's going for broke and it doesn't work out. And you're like, come on, like this isn't it for us as well. And fortunately, it worked out. I'm really happy to see Rasmus score again. 5 goals in 5 Premier League games for Rasmus Højlund. I'm really happy with what he's doing this time around. And we said on our own group chat as well that we want to see him score against some bigger teams and be a bit more consistent. And I hope this is the way forward for Rasmus Højlund. But my conversation to finish off on Man United is about Harry Maguire. The fact that Harry Maguire getting back into it. And Diogo Dalot for me as well. Diogo Dalot has been a lot more consistent and has proven me wrong because I've never really been a fan of him defensively as a right back, but he fully stuck in on it today against Alex Moreno consistently, against Jacob Ramsey consistently as well. But it's finally building himself into this team, Diogo Dalot, ahead of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who's injured at the moment. But when there's talk of Aaron Wan-Bissaka being sold and Diogo Dalot getting another contract, that's speaking levels in terms of how highly Eric Ten Hag really likes him. But let's say your thoughts on Harry Maguire. Do you think it's a good thing that Harry Maguire's back into the starting lineup after his injury? Because we've seen with Lisandro Martinez, when he's come back after his injury, he's just gone straight out with another injury. Yeah. Are you sure that's going to be comfortable for him going into the Euros next summer, or do you think he'll be okay with it going forward?
Do you know what? I think with Maguire, I think sometimes he gets too much stick. You look at some of the other defenders. I'm not even just talking Man United. I'm talking about other centre backs for other teams.
Eric Dyer.
Yeah. Oh, prime example. There we go.
Percy going all the way to Bayern Munich and losing 3-0, getting outpaced by everyone at the back.
That's for you, Travis. That's for you, Travis, and Suki.
I bet they were loving it as well. They're like, yeah, we're finally winning at home to Brighton, and Eric Dyer's not at centre back. They must have loved it. Keep him there, Thomas Tuchel. Keep him there. That's what we like to see.
I love Maguire because not every centre back has to be quick. Like you just gotta be smart. I saw some great centre backs that weren't the fastest, but they were just smart up here. And with Maguire, look today, the Højlund goal. He got the header for that. Put his body on the line a lot of the time. And I feel like he works against certain opposition. All right, when you've got the fast players, like, I don't know, you play the PSGs or them other teams like that. Some, even Arsenal, let's say, a bit of patience, a bit more difficult for him. But I still think he's a quality defender. Let's not forget, when he was playing for England in that free, he was probably the best centre-back in that tournament. He was. But, he won't get the credit because it's the whole thing of, he cost 85 mil from Leicester and blah, blah, blah.
Memes and everything.
You know what I mean? But honestly, I think he's a good defender. He's one of them where I feel like if United even got rid of him, I could see someone like a Newcastle going in for him. He just looks like that type of player to join someone like that. But yeah, I think he's good. I mean, he's a good defender. With Martinez out, he doesn't bring you exactly what Martinez has, but I think him and Varane complement each other quite well. Even though Varane's obviously lost a bit of pace, but yeah, he was quality today, absolute quality. And Højlund as well. I give you his shoes. I was doubtful with Højlund, but I take it back. He's been good.
I was never in doubt about Rasmus Højlund. From the start, I was like, Rasmus Højlund is a great player because even last season, I was watching him at Atlanta. I was like, this guy's a good player and it's good fun. And I'm convinced that Man United scouts listened to Friday Night Counter-Attack because I recommended, unfortunately, Anthony to Man United and they signed him. I recognized Rasmus Højlund as a good player. And they're like, oh, yeah, let's sign him. So maybe they do listen to Friday Night Counter-Attack on the slide. But a few stats about Harry Maguire as well. 81% pass accuracy, 71 touches, 7 out of 7 aerial duels won, 5 clearances, 4 out of 4 tackles won, 1 key pass and 1 assist, like Matthew said earlier, when he just kept the ball up with his head and Højlund was through as well. Yeah. And Rasmus Højlund is the youngest striker in the Premier League to score 5 goals in 5 games since Nicolas Anelka did for Arsenal back in the late 1990s as well, which is great to see. So few bits of stats there for everyone.
People, Hamza knows ball.
Hamza knows ball by reading stats and making sure I've got everything right as well. I was never going to be counting those tackles watching a Man United game. I was like, no, the whole game. I was like, this can't be happening to me at all. But yeah, that's the end of Sunday's games. And let's get back onto Saturday's games because, Matthew, there's a lot of conversation that we need to be having about some of these players. And I wish a few of our co-hosts were here, but they're not. So we're going to have to go through it ourselves. And we'll start from the Everton-Man City game because Everton went away to the Etihad and Erling Haaland is back. The main man in the Premier League, Manchester City, is back. It's ridiculous. His first goal was a bit of a debatable in terms of, was it a corner? Was it in and out? But realistically speaking, Erling Haaland, he needs sometimes just one shot and one goal because Everton was frustrating him at the back as well. And he's got 16 goals in the season already. What more can we do to find we can't stop Erling Haaland. No one can stop Erling Haaland besides some of the bigger teams.
Only Saliba.
We need to clone Saliba and we need to clone Luke Shaw centre back because that was the only time when Man United kept Haaland down. I mean, they kept him down in the FA Cup final, but he didn't need to do anything because De Gea messed up for us, unfortunately, as well. But talk to me about Manchester City before I get on to Everton as well. So with Manchester City, they are looking back into the title race. They were never really out of it. They've still got their games in hand as well. So it's looking quite genuinely frightening to see Manchester City winning 4 trophies in four Premier Leagues in a row, which is embarrassing to think about as an opposition fan. But Pep Guardiola is inevitable. Erling Haaland is inevitable. Need to hear your thoughts on Manchester City and if you think they still have what it takes to continue challenging on all 3 fronts: the FA Cup, the Champions League, and the Premier League.
They've got the squad for it. Like straight away, they've got the squad for it. Like whoever they rotate, you look at the youngsters they're bringing. Oscar Bob, who balls out. You know, Doku's kind of gone off a bit. He's not looking as monstrous as he did when he first burst. I can't remember who they played that. Was it Burnley? I think it might have been Burnley.
He scored that winning goal against Newcastle away as well.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So like, I just feel with them, yeah, they've got the bench for it. Bernardo Silva still there. Like when I look at that team, I just think I don't see how anyone else is going to stop them. But I just think the further they go in tournament, I don't know, because we've never seen a team win it 4 times in a row. I just think there were great teams that never did it. So I just think something will happen where they don't do it. Surely not. Because I feel like they're going to go far in Champions League. They're going to do their thing in the FA Cup. All it takes, if Rodri stays fit and available, I think they've got a chance of doing it all. They can't lose him. I know what you're saying, 16 goals, Haaland and De Bruyne's assists, but Rodri's the one. When he's out the team, they really, really struggle. But it's scary hours for a lot of us. Like you said, 16 goals. All right, people are saying...
And has been injured for 2 months as well, Erling Haaland. Crazy to think about.
Look at the goal he scored. He barged Brentford. Brentford was gone.
He bullied my boy. Last week I was singing his praises, and before the season I was singing his praises. But earlier this season I was singing his praises, and he just got bodied by the best striker in the world.
And then the finish just bang. But okay, do you know what? I know. Just quickly, I just want to say, who would you say? I was having a debate with someone. Would be the closest to in terms of you're Man United now. Oh, you got HOJLUND actually. Arsenal. We want a striker. Who's the striker you would say for us would be closest to signing someone like Haaland? Because I was saying Osimhen, you think? I said, what about what's his name at Leipzig?
Openda. Sesko. Benjamin Sesko. I think Benjamin Sesko is still too raw for the Premier League at the moment. He's still going through his first season in the Bundesliga. I know his outtake is basically kicked Timo Werner off to Tottenham Hotspur now at the moment. So it goes to show that he's doing really, really well and is going to be leading Slovenia's line at the Euros in the summer. Sesko would be a fantastic player, but again, I'm still a fan of Gianluca Scamacca. I think he's still got a future in the Premier League, and I think he's good, but I don't think he'd be the one for Arsenal personally. But I think he'd be a lot better at Arsenal than he was at West Ham United. It worked really, really well for him. But in the terms of a profile of striker, Sesko is probably the best option.
Yeah,
Ivan Toney, maybe. I'd say Ivan Toney is not as ruthless, I would say, as Erling Haaland. But Sesko, Toney, these 6-foot+ strikers who are pacey, strong, agile on the ball, can shoot off both feet, can finish really well. They're the quality of striker to look for as well. I mean, if you're looking for someone a bit, Marcus Thuram, maybe, I think it's quite good.
You know what? I doubted him, by the way. I thought this guy, I was like, why Inter signing him? But
I said yesterday, one of the best free transfers in the world this season.
Yes.
Him and Grimaldo for Bayern Leverkusen, the best 2 free transfers of the season so far.
100%.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, let's get on to Everton because they need so much more than just free signings. They need a miracle happening with their 10-point deduction as well. You're looking at Everton Football Club and you're looking at where the hope is coming. For me, all I'm seeing is the biggest hope I can see from Everton is the guy who does the TikTok videos outside their stadium. That Still Gang guy. He's the only positive thing about the club right now because their club is looking like they're going to go down in relegation. We're not going to talk about relegation like we did last week, but you're looking at it and you're thinking, where is the hope coming from? They can't rely on Calvert-Lewin anymore because he's not that guy anymore. He's still not recovered properly from his injury. Match fitness is still not there. Beto is still not all and about himself in the Premier League as much as I thought he would. And Onana, who we were raving about earlier this season, Matthew, was benched yesterday in their biggest game so far of the season. And it just didn't look like it was going to work for them. Ashley Young, 38, 39 years old, playing at right midfield for them. It's looking very, very difficult, very, very bleak for Sean Dyche and for Everton. What's your thoughts on it?
Now I'm with you. I feel like the shining light is obviously your boy Jared. Listen, I'm a big fan of Jared as well. I feel like he'll leave in the summer. You could just see it anyway. It's just one of the scenes when the peter out. But yeah, I look at Everton. I'm quite worried for them. McNeil, their set piece master. He's not really doing much. Like you said, Onana was benched. Beto, not really done anything. Calvert-Lewin's not even, like before, he would even be on a run of games. He would be scoring goals and, helping them win games. But he's not even doing that. I think even defensive, they don't really invest properly. When was the last time you could say Everton really invested their money properly?
I mean, you can say now, and then that's why they got hit with the FFP charges and a 10 points deduction. So I'd probably say that'd be what would be happening as well, because it's quite embarrassing to see what's happening with Everton Football Club.
It's insane, and I'm sure. What is it next year? They're going to in their new ground.
Yeah, next season. So they could be spending the next season in the Championship in a new ground, which is embarrassing to think about. But it's embarrassing when Liverpool fans are annoyed when Everton lose. That's when it's getting annoying. Like I've got Liverpool fans who are saying to me, "Yeah, I really wanted Everton to win or to draw at the Etihad today. They could have helped us out, but they didn't. They were disappointing us, and that's really bad to see a Liverpool fan trying to back Everton, and it's not looking good for Everton right now. But maybe there will be some opportunities going forward. But remember, they've only scored 26 goals in the league this season. That's very, very worrying if they're looking to keep up because they can't keep relying on their centre midfielders who have very similar profiles as well. So it's very, very, very worrying for Everton.
They should just be a Burnley, bro. I feel like you look but in the sense
I get what you mean though. I get what you mean with it.
You look at Company, right? Look at the youngsters they've got. We know they're probably going to go down, but I see the board. I said it last week. I think the board will look at it and say, "We don't expect you to keep us up, but next season we want you to push these youngsters, buy a couple more, and add to that." And I think Everton need to change their policy. Like you still got lots of Seamus Coleman. I don't know how old he is now.
35, I think. 36.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he's quite old. You've got Tarkowski, you've got Pickford, who I think stagnating there as well. I think honestly they need to just rip it up, bring in some academy products, and that's another thing.
Lewis Dobbin is one of their bright sparks in the academy as well.
Who else do you see there, youngsters?
You got Tyler Onyanko as well, but it's more along the lines of Jared Branthwaite. And what's worked really well for Everton, and not so much for Everton fans, but for England fans, is whenever they have young players coming through, they develop them really, really well. But then they sell them on for profit. John Stones was a big example, buying them from Barnsley, I think it was. And seeing Wayne Rooney, of course, when he came through the ranks at Everton. And all of these players can go through and be sold for profit and developed in, but they just don't develop and they don't really keep them at home, which is embarrassing to think about. But yeah, on to the next game. The next game we have to talk about, we are going to stay in Merseyside and we're going to talk about Liverpool versus Burnley. I'm not a big fan of talking about Liverpool, so by all means, Matthew, talk to us about how Jota scored, how Nunes scored, and how Luis Diaz scored as well. And you're looking at it thinking Mohamed Salah's still not in and around the side. But, I mean, the farewell season for Jurgen Klopp is looking back on track after their embarrassing defeat last week to Arsenal. What's your thoughts on Liverpool this weekend? Yeah,
looking back on track, but Burnley had their chances. A better team would have punished them. Liverpool they were just a bit more clinical. You look at the Jota goal, for example. Trafford should have claimed that. Obviously, and Jota got the head out. You just won them games. You never expected Liverpool to lose it.
Home game, Burnley, 3:00. It never looked like it was going to be a shot.
You know what I mean? But again, as I said, Burnley had some chances, and I would just want to say, I think Kompany's done great with him there. He's done a great job with Burnley, and I think Klopp. I think you could see they had a couple of doubts in the beginning, obviously after defeat to us. But once they got the first goal, that was kind of it. But obviously Trent went off again, which is quite concerning. And I'm seeing rumours of 2 months out. So could be a big blow to them, man. Big blow.
I mean, there was no Allison yesterday either as well. So there's going to be no Trent. There's no Allison. They're going to have to rely on Bradley, but he was injured as well recently. So it goes to show that maybe Jurgen Klopp will have to look into even more youngsters to bring into the side to actually develop them and build for the future, because Liverpool, they're back in Europa League action this week coming as well. So they've got no, they're not. That's a lie. They're not in they finished first, so they're not going to be in the top bit. So they'll be absolutely fine with it. But Liverpool, I mean, they are looking right on track to be competing all the way to the final day of the season, as we expect from Liverpool. And they were one of my title favourites from the season from the beginning. And remember, in a couple of weeks' time, Carabao Cup final as well. They've got a Brentford next week, then Luton. So a couple of easy games. And you've got the easiest one of all, which is Chelsea at Wembley, which would be a 0-0 or a 3-0 to Liverpool, as we've seen recently as well. But yeah, on to the next game. Next one we've got, you can talk to us about Luton versus Sheffield United, because Sheffield United winning away from home, for me, that was a 6-pointer for them. So the fact that Cameron Archer got into the score sheet as well, huge confidence boost for him as well. Great solo goal, beating Osho through on goal as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing which of these two teams will be ones that you think could stay up as well. So let's see your thoughts on Luton versus Sheffield United, Matthew.
Do you know what? This was a result I did not expect at all. I thought Luton were going to wipe the floor of them. You look at Luton's home record this season. Forget just home record, in general, performances, good performances majority of the season. And they put in a good one against Newcastle as well, 4-4. And I thought, easy 3-4-0. But Sheffield United did their thing. You know what I mean? Sheffield United were quite clinical. I think it might have been a bit where Luton were a bit complacent, probably. They probably thought, great home record against, we played Chelsea, we played Arsenal, played Liverpool, played City. Sheffield United. But Sheffield United did a job on them. And I think, Luton will be disappointed. But I think the home record, it might just keep them up. I think Sheffield United are gone regardless. I feel like that's going to be a flash in the pan thing. We saw them get smacked last week. And they had a couple, like James McAtee, is it McAtee from City?
McAtee, yeah.
It's all right, little fake Jack Wilshere with his socks low and that. But
needs to be done. They need to stand out on these loan sessions.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. But yeah, they've got probably the worst keeper in the league, who we spoke about, didn't we, last week? Wes
Foderingham. It's not looking good. Like I said previously as well, I think you'd be a lot better in goal for Sheffield United.
Tell them about me, bro. Tell them about you. You know what I mean?
Needs to be done. We need to see a lot more from it. We need to see a lot more from Matthew in goal. But one player I want to talk to you about specifically for Luton versus Sheffield United, this has got me gassed, because I'm looking at him thinking, he was billed as a really big player by Vincent Kompany. He's billed as a really big player by a lot of people on the Belgian staff. And Arsenal signed him. And now he's on loan and is on the bench. And you're looking at Sambi Lokonga, and you're like, he can't get into this Luton side. Is it due to work rate? Is it due to effort? Is it due to not fitting into the Premier League? What is happening with Sambi Lokonga? And I know everyone's going to be like, why are you talking about Sambi Lokonga? For me, I just remember him from the Arsenal documentary, because he never really showed up on the pitch for Arsenal after his impressive start to Arsenal when they first signed him. But talk to us, Matthew, a bit more about how Sambi Lokonga is out of the Luton team, and do you think you'll be selling him in the summer? Because I think you need to get him off your wage bill at Arsenal.
I think he's gone. I saw such promise when he was at Anderlecht, and I don't know about you, but when there's a player that comes from Anderlecht, I get so excited, because that team, do you remember back in the day, was it Van der Boer? Do you remember the right back?
Yeah, Van den Boer.
Yeah. So all these guys, Tielemans as well, Lukaku, Vertonghen, all these type of players. So when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that became a player. Oh, he looks good. And I'd watch all his compilations, but I feel sometimes the Prem finds people out, and you just don't have as much
Vincent
time.
Kompany was another Anderlecht player as well. How did I not know? I wish someone in the chat messaged us about who's their favourite Anderlecht player is. If you're watching as well, just make sure you comment your favourite Anderlecht player of all time, because Vincent Kompany just came out to my mind straight out of nowhere.
And you remember with him, he used to play him DM, even though
he was DM at PSV in Hamburg as well, which was crazy.
Remember, like, absolute boss. And Lokonga played in the game at home against Brighton, and he was good. Yeah. So I think it depends on your position. I think it was a tactical thing. I don't think it was one of them where he's been playing bad, so he decided to take him off. I feel like it's just a tactical thing. I think you look at the opposition, you look at Sheffield United, you look at Brighton, the way they play. I think it was, he was more suited to playing against Brighton. But again, yeah, I feel like we'll sell him. I feel like he'll go along with El Neni, Cedric, them type of players. And I want to see him do well, but I think the Premier League is too quick for him. Some players, that's just the case. They are quality.
I agree. I was watching them Barcelona versus Granada. Sorry to cut you off, but Man United loaned out Facundo Pellistri, and he was killing it against Barcelona for Granada. And they're like 18th in La Liga, and you're looking at it thinking, what the hell was going on? This guy couldn't finish his dinner in the Champions League against Bayern Munich and against Galatasaray, but is doing really well away to Barcelona in one of his first games in La Liga this season. Yeah. So I get what you mean. Some people just can't cut it in English football, but they can cut it in different types of football. And fair play to them. It's just what their style of play is like. But I get it with Lokonga. Maybe you have to get rid of him to bring in another quality player going forward as well. But one player that we need to talk about on the next game that we're going into, which is Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Brentford. I mean, I don't need to talk about him because I spoke about him this week. Talk to us. Ivan Toney, by all means, back in the goals.
But before I get into him, I don't know if you know, I don't know if it's true. His initials are IBET, Ivan Benjamin Elijah Toney. Spell that out, the first letter of each thing.
I mean, can you still say Elijah Adebayo's full name?
Why do you do this?
I'm asking. I can say Ivan Toney's full name now, but you can say Elijah Adebayo's full name.
Do you know what? Talk on Tony, but let me get this up then. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get the.
Let's do it. We need something fun every live stream. So
I'm gonna do it for the people.
I remember Ivan Toney scored 3 goals already in 4 games. He recently had to answer questions about his manager saying, "Oh yeah, we might sell him in the summer." And then Ivan Toney was just there like, "If the manager doesn't want me, that's fine. I'll have to find my way out to get a new club." He has to look to get a new club, and he's like, "Oh, maybe I just need to keep scoring goals." And he knows what he's doing, Ivan Toney. He's manufacturing a move out of Brentford. He knows he's not going to sign a new contract next summer. And realistically speaking, Ivan Toney wants that place at the European Championships. He's not going to want Callum Wilson to be ahead of him at all. I need to think about, realistically speaking, Ivan Toney, where can he go? A lot of people are saying Arsenal was the first choice. They're saying Chelsea. One of our guests who was meant to be on today said Arsenal would be a great pick for him. I'm like, what about Man United? And they're like, oh, I don't think Man United would be good enough. And I'm like, what do you mean? He'd be the player that would make us good enough in terms of the side of the play that we have. We're used to having a strong man up front now, and we're going to get rid of Anthony Martial in the summer. We need someone with a lot more quality to be helping Rasmus Højlund improve his game, having resting games as well, European football, hopefully, to bring back in as well. So there's a lot to talk about regarding Ivan Toney. But before we get on to you saying Elijah Adebayo's full name, let me hear your thoughts on Ivan Toney.
Now, do you know what? I think.
Also, do you find it a bit annoying that Arsenal fans are moving mad about Ivan Toney? Like, literally wanting him to join because he's back in the game? Or is it just fan favoritism? Oh, yeah, he's a neutral player.
I'll be honest with you. I'm one of the few. I wanted him before the whole ban thing. I feel like the way he was playing, I feel like with Arsenal, we need players that have a bit of character, a bit about them. You look at the players and, like the Mavericks. I look at Ibrahimovic. He went to Man United.
He is a showman. You can't deny he is a showman when he plays.
You know what I'm saying? And I love that. And I saw him perform at Anfield. He was dealing with Van Dijk. And that's in a team such as Brentford. And I always look at these players and think, put them in a better side and see what they're capable of. But I just think that whole story of him betting, whatever, and coming back, I feel like it was such a...
Haram. He is haram.
Very bad. That is very bad for you people. Do
not commit sin. Don't commit sin. Forgiveness for your sins. Like, don't watch the Super Bowl tonight as well. That's not a very good thing for you to do as well. But realistically speaking, Ivan Toney is a showman. And annoyingly, we said it recently, football is lacking showmen a lot. Yes. Douglas Luiz tried it. It didn't work for him. That's on him. Him being an idiot.
He joins Arsenal, by the way. I think Toney joins Arsenal, just to let you know. I think he joins Arsenal.
I think it's the natural selection. I think you have to get rid of Nketiah. You have to get rid of Gabriel Jesus. You have to get rid of both of them. Bring in some new young players as well. Maybe with someone from outside of the club. I don't think anyone new. Do you know of anyone new coming through the academy or the reserves as a striker? Because you had Balogun, but he went away.
Balogun's gone. We've got like this young but it's like 16. Like, we don't have anyone that's like 19, 20 ready to come in. I don't think so. But again, I feel like we're gonna get money from our HOJLUND products. But I think as time goes on, we're gonna start buying like Man City. I think Man City start buying all these young talent. I think that's the way we're gonna go. I feel like HOJLUND, we're going to make some money off some of our talent now and then go in and buy it. But we've got good stuff coming, man. Good stuff. Got Zubimendi maybe as well. Who knows, man?
That is a big deal as well because this is back in the Champions League for Real Sociedad against PSG. So that's definitely one for you to watch out if you're not doing anything that evening as well, which would be great. But yeah, realistically speaking, I think Ivan Toney has the opportunities around. But I mean, Thomas Frank said recently as well, no one bid for him in December or January. So it goes to show that no one really wanted to risk it straight away and is back straight away fit and firing 3 goals, 4 games.
Great finish as well. First time. Beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, we won't talk that much about Wolves, but before we get on to Wolves, let's hear it. Let me hear you say Elijah Adebayo's full name.
Oh, boy. Make sure you edit this part out, you know.
I'll edit it in. I'll screenshot.
Elijah Anu Oluwapo Oluwafaranmi Oluwatomi Oluwalana Ayomi Kulihin Adebayo.
Ayomi Kulihin was like when Suki said that I speak in Arabic, and I'm just like, that is true. That's like me saying an Arabic word, but in Igbo or Yoruba.
Not too bad though. It's all right still. It's all right.
It is excellent. It is a fantastic name as well. And I wish they really printed it on a shirt in losing just so it could have all of the letters.
Do you remember when he used to curve it around the number?
Can you imagine that paying like £5 per letter as well if for a custom name? That'd be
just put the name around the number in a circle, you know?
The spiral. And then put it on the front of the shirt as well, which would be crazy. On the sleeves and everything. That'd be fantastic. It would be so cool. But Wolverhampton Wanderers are a bit of an up and down team this season as well. Like they have good performances, but they lose quite often at home, which is unlike them under Gary O'Neill. You're looking at the table and you're looking at Wolverhampton Wanderers and you're thinking, are they going to finish in the top half? They're 10th at the moment. They've only won 2 in their last 5. And you're looking at it thinking, maybe that game against Man United, they lost in the last minute, which is embarrassing for them. They lost again convincingly to Brentford. And I'm looking at this Brentford game and you're looking at it. The VAR goal was disallowed for Craig Dawson as well. Ballon Dawson, as they call him at West Ham, and they probably still do at Wolves. But realistically speaking, Ivan Toney just carried on when he was playing. He carried on when he left off playing as well, because it's really, really bad seeing Wolves doing good again. Because I'm afraid they're going to get into European football. Because when Wolverhampton Wanderers get into European football, you're looking at this anti-football in European football in the Europa League, and you're like, this is really, really bad. But do you think Wolverhampton Wanderers will make European football this season?
No, I don't think so. I feel like
right answer.
Yeah, I feel they'll finish around where they are now. We've got some decent little players. I'm a fan of Max Kilman.
Yeah,
I like Max Kilman. You know, they're that type of club that if teams just come in for their players, they end up just leaving. Your guy up top, who I saw him at Atletico, and I didn't really think much of him, but he's done very well, very well. Neto's the one I want to Arsenal though. Like I look at Neto and I think I love a winger that just gets their head down and goes at the fullback, and he's got that. And Gary O'Neill, let's be honest, you know, let's not even talk about players. Let's talk about the manager. Now, Gary O'Neill's done a great job at that club. You know what I mean? Bournemouth got rid of him to bring in
Iraola.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Matt knows football. He just didn't want to butcher the pronunciation.
You know what? I nearly said the goalkeeper because Bilbao had a goalkeeper called Irakos or Irak, whatever his name is.
Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that on the live stream. Come on now.
But yeah, no, you know what? Gary has done a fantastic job with it, and I feel like with him, he'll probably look to move because I don't know if Wolves are going to look to invest in the summer. You know, I mean, I feel like he'll be a good move for West Ham. I really, really do.
Who?
Gary O'Neill.
Who?
Gary O'Neill. I think it could work at West Ham.
Oh, that's a bold claim. West Ham like their anti-football more than they like their football. Because when they play football, Slaven Bilic, they get rid of him. Payet was fantastic under Slaven Bilic. They got rid of him. Pellegrini, anti-football, they loved him. Moyes, anti-football, they brought him back twice, which is also...
It's a Bowen, come on. No disrespect to Moyes, because Moyes has done a good job and one of the better managers. I hate the fact we're going to like the topic on West Ham. But again.
Thanks, Danny, for not joining us. We're talking about your team again.
You know what I mean? You know, but no, do you know what? I feel like, yeah, he would be good for them. I think West Ham needs to change the manager. Someone like you anyway and upgrade. But back to Wolves, yeah, they're going to finish there or thereabouts, sell a couple of players. That Totti looks all right. Totti.
I just want to see Hwang back in the side again, man. That Asia Cup tournament was very disappointing for South Korea. They haven't won an Asia Cup since the 1960s, and Qatar won it 2 times in a row. So Qatar are a superior Asian side in the Asia Cup, but they can't kick a ball properly in the World Cup. So it's embarrassing from an Asian point of view to see Qatar as the Asia champions 2 times in a row. But Hwang is a player that if I could say anyone from Wolverhampton Wanderers, it would be Hwang Hee-chan because he can play across the front three.
He could work at Man United.
I think so. I'd take him today. If we needed a second striker, Hwang Hee-chan off the bench, 20, 30 minutes, maybe him off the left, causing Rashford some problems as well in the starting lineup. Because again, we need to see a lot more from Rashford as we haven't seen for a while. But I'd take Hwang Hee-chan in a heartbeat. Pedro Neto, I had a bit of flack this week because I said Anthony Gordon over Pedro Neto, but that's just me choosing my personal preferences in the penalty this or that challenge on social media, which you can find on all of our social media accounts. On to the next one, Spurs versus Brighton. Spurs 2, that last minute. Brennan Johnson, who's been attacked by Spurs fans, Matthew, because they just say he's not good enough, he's not a quality player, and he wins the game for them. And he didn't even celebrate that much. He just walked away, which is good. But Brighton missed so many chances in that as well. But I'm really, really annoyed to see Brighton fall down from grace. I know Mitoma's back on form, is back in the squad. It's good to see him back. And Danny Welbeck had a decent game yesterday as well. But realistically speaking, Spurs are just a lot better now going forward. And I'm just like, I don't like this Spurs because they're a threatening type of Spurs. Saw it against Man United in the 2-2. Even when they lost to Man City in the FA Cup, they're still threatening without Son. And Son came back off the bench, and Spurs are scary at the moment. You have to admit it. What do you think, Matthew? Agree or
disagree? You know what? Yeah, again, I'm agreeing with you. Brennan Johnson is so funny. As I said, I was reading things before. Even on Tuesday when I was in a show, one of the Spurs fans was like, this guy's been awful. I think they expected a lot more from him. But yeah, for him to get the win, and like you said, I don't know.
I don't think it's that. I think it's the fact that all their other new signings have done so well straight away, and Brennan Johnson's a bit slow to join the side.
But what I will give Spurs is they've got this thing of they don't give up now. Like at 1-1, you still think, man, Spurs gonna have one more chance, you know, because they are
9 men down is the prime example against Chelsea. They just continue to carry on.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I rate them for that. And you know, Fergie used to always say, I don't know if you saw the thing he was talking about when he used to play at Liverpool, and he used to say, if it was a draw, bring on a striker. Like, you want your 3 points.
Yeah.
And then it makes the opposition think, oh, do you know what, let's retreat a bit. And that naturally, by retreating, the opposition...
Battle strategy is just right there from manager, and I just carried on with it.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like Spurs are doing better from it. And they've got quality players, like, as I said, you know. Even though Hunter says I'm a Spurs fan, people, I am a true gooner, just saying.
I've not said it this stream, so maybe the times have changed. Maybe the video coming up with George coming soon might change people's opinion of you as well, which would be good. And I'm looking forward to seeing that personally, which would be great. Coming soon. I'm not sure if it's going to be on Matthew's channel, but it's definitely coming soon.
True gooner. But you know, Spurs look good. But as you said, Brighton were wasteful, man. And you know what? I just want to shout at Danny Welbeck, who I thought his career was kind of done. Where he got that big injury, I think, at Brighton, one of the early seasons, and I thought that was it. And he come back like he was living in the Bayern lab with Leon Goretzka, lifting 200 kg. I don't know what happened to him, but he was looking good now.
I'm looking at him, and I'm like, his doing skills is not done through his whole career. He's doing at 32, 33 years of age, and you're like, working with De Zerbi clearly works for it. These are 2 great man managers, Ange Postecoglou and Roberto De Zerbi, for Brighton and Spurs respectively. They're definitely going to be 2 of the most sought after managers at the end of the season for some of the bigger clubs across Europe. So that would be something for Bayern Munich to look for as well if they are to replace Thomas Tuchel. Barcelona, of course, as well. I'm not saying De Zerbi's going to go to Barcelona. Manchester City, maybe. Liverpool, of course. Manchester United, maybe. 2 sought after managers. And you're looking at it, and you're thinking, there aren't that many world-class managers anymore, Matthew.
No, there's not many at all. But I feel like, as you said, with De Zerbi, such a great man manager. I feel like with Brighton, whoever they bring in, the players, they play well. Look at Hinshelwood. All right, he didn't play that one. I had no clue who he was. He's performed well. Bruno Notta has been good. Obviously, we see the Dingra now in the AFCON. Like they're
man of the match for me.
You know what I mean? Man of the match. And you know, I look at Brighton and I think, you know what, they've got a good blend. Lamptey's come back, he's doing his thing. You know, Mitoma, they need him back in full form. Evan Ferguson. So now they look a good team. But you can already tell, though, that De Zerbi will leave. This is my feeling. He'll leave. And you can see 1 or 2 of them stars will also just go as well. Then Brighton have to restart again. But I'm sure they'll be fine.
It's true. I'm looking forward to seeing how Simon Adingra comes back into this. team as well, which would be crazy to see. But on to the next one, and we're talking about Marco Silva's Fulham as they can win convincingly against Bournemouth 3-1 at home. And you're looking at someone like Rodrigo scoring 2 goals again. Your boy Anthony Robinson as well. Anthony Robinson with his double E as well. And again, Marco Silva's got them cooking. I think it's really going to be one where you're looking at Anthony Robinson as one of their big players in the summer that may cause a few bids from across the Premier League, because he's looking like a good player that you could even have at Arsenal as a left back. Let me hear your thoughts on Fulham and maybe even going for someone like Anthony Robinson in the summer.
You know what? Fulham are a weird team. You know, they'll have them games. Like, look, when they played us at their home, they beat us, but they lost to someone quite convincingly.
And they won quite convincingly.
Yeah,
not recently, but they won like 5-0 as well. Crazy
you see what I'm saying? So they're a weird team, but Marco Silva's done a great job with them. You know, before you look at a Fulham team, but I guarantee we're going to go and beat them, no problem. But, you know, they've got the power. They've got João Pelina, Raul Jimenez still, Anthony Robinson.
Robinson.
Who I think is a quality left back. I feel like going forward, fantastic. But he's one of them. Do you know who he reminds me? He reminds me of Alphonso Davies. Like, going forward, I look at them. No, listen, I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying in terms of when they're going forward, when he's running forward, I don't think he can be stopped. I look at Anthony Robinson, it just goes, he's very quick. I just think in the Arsenal system, how we like to do it inverted, I don't think it would work.
But even with Anthony Robinson, you're looking at him and you're like, he's one of these players that came over in the Premier League and settled in really well. And he's still not getting the plaudits he deserved, because annoyingly, no one really talks about Fulham in that way. But again, he didn't play for Everton when they signed him in 2015-16. Then he went away again, came to Fulham in 2020, and has been an ever-presence in their left-back as well. And again, 86 appearances, 5 assists in Premier League history. He won't go down as one of the best ever left-backs for Fulham, but it's a really, really good left-back for Fulham. And there's been an ever-present, which is what Fulham have really needed, instead of being a yo-yo club going up and down all the time. So I think they need a bit more going forward from Anthony Robinson.
Can you tell me a bit more on this Rodrigo guy? Because when I know he played in Brazil, I think Flamengo, or one of Flamengo, and then Coritiba, whatever that team name is. Yeah, I think he played for
Corinthians. You want to pronounce Corinthians for our audience?
Coritiba. No, I think it's like that Coritiba team or Coritiba. How have you said?
Which team?
He played for Flamengo, I'm sure. Then he played for that Coritiba.
Yeah, Coritiba. You can pronounce that. Come on, Matthew.
No, I wasn't sure if it was a team.
It's Coritiba. It's Flamengo and Coritiba. Yeah.
When I saw, I was like, who's this guy? Like, I'm not sure. I remember receiving.
Do you know what's funny about Rodrigo Muniz as well? People think that it's just Rodrigo, the one that used to play for Leeds, that's playing for Fulham, and you're like, nah, it's a different person. But because they don't watch Fulham, they just look at who scored. Oh, Rodrigo. Yeah. Nah, crazy. But Rodrigo Muniz is a player who, again, he has a lot of hype going through him, and Marco Silva was really adamant that he wanted him at Fulham. He went on loan, I believe, to Middlesbrough last season to get some experience in English football as well. Signed for Fulham for £8 million, and he's not a wonder kid by any means. He's 22 years of age, but he was someone who has a lot of promise about him going into the Copa America. I don't think he's going to be selected, but I don't think it's going to be someone like a Carlos Vinicius who got recently loaned out. Again, I think he'll loan out on deadline day because they brought Armando Broja in. But for him to score 2 goals very convincingly at home goes to show that Marco Silva really wants this guy to work out, because he could be a cash cow for them in 2-3 years' time. Selling him for 30-40 million pounds in a season could really work wonders for Fulham Football Club, especially when they recently developed their stadium as well. But I think it's going to be a fun player to watch. And annoyingly, like, Fulham play really fun football. They are free-flowing under Marco Silva, but no one hypes them up. Like, even Fulham fans don't even hype them up. They're just like, oh yeah, cool, we won. I know one Fulham fan, and he never talks about them to me. I'm just like, oh,
they're probably depressed from paying the most for them. I think they've got the most expensive season ticket, I heard, supposedly.
After Arsenal, of course.
Is it? That's mad.
Arsenal and Fulham have the highest. Arsenal, Fulham, Tottenham.
Why Fulham so high? That's something I need to look into.
Tony Khan, politics. He wants to fund his AEW streams. That's what he wants to do.
Yes. Oh my! How have I forgotten?
Don't worry. It took me a second to remember as well. Like, Tony Khan, that's why he wants it. And then you had the Al Fayed situation before when he got Michael Jackson's statue outside. You're like, Michael Jackson, why? Odd
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Very, very odd guy as well. But Bournemouth, I think they'll be absolutely fine. The hype has gone down on Dominic Solanke, but I don't really need to care about Dominic Solanke at all because I don't think he's going to go to the Euros. I don't think it's going to be one of these surprise shocks. Oh, yeah, let's get him in. Nah,
No.
don't get it at all. But for Sinistera, I think he made his permanent contract at Bournemouth, so his loan has ended. I think it's now they're on permanent deal at Bournemouth, which is great for the Premier League. He's a fantastic, enjoyable winger to watch, and I think leaving Leeds United, I think Jack Harrison should do the same, get a permanent deal to Everton, even if Leeds are going to come up soon. I think there's a lot more that we can see from Sinistera in the Premier League. But onwards to the next game and the final game. Nottingham Forest 2, Newcastle United 3. There wasn't a VAR problem as much for a lot of teams, but there was for Nottingham Forest because there could have been a penalty for Taiwo Awoniyi, but again, it didn't really work well for him. Everyone's going on about Anthony Elanga because he scored, and I'm like, Anthony Elanga is a very fast player to watch. He's very, very good running through in and around defenses. He's not really good dribbling, but he's very, very good in terms of controlling a pace, and he can slow the ball down, speed up, and it was a good finish from him as well. But regarding Nottingham Forest, before we finish on Newcastle as well, Nottingham Forest have some attacking players that really should be doing a lot more for their team. Hudson-Odoi scored yesterday. I think he's got a lot more quality about him, not just because he's a Cobham product from Chelsea. I think there's so much more we can see from him in the side as well. But let me hear your thoughts on Nottingham Forest yesterday after being defeated at home to Newcastle United.
It's quite worrying for them because they beat Man United at home, and you kind of thought they would kind of win a couple more games after, even get a point or so. But I don't know. I'm a bit concerned for them. As you said, they need a bit more from the strikers because they play Elanga, Callum Hudson, and I think, is it Wood? Does Wood start up top for them?
Awoniyi as well. And then you've got Morgan Gibbs-White as well. That's always got that free role nowadays as well.
So, but I just think behind that, like, they've got flash in the pan players.
Awoniyi should have gone to AFCON for me. I don't get why. I will say this. I can say it in hindsight, but I said it at the beginning. Why did Ahmed Musa go to AFCON and Taiwo Awoniyi didn't replace Victor Boniface?
I thought that was a lie. When I heard someone tell me Musa went, I went, no, he didn't. No way.
It's like how Max Gradel went for Ivory Coast, but he actually turned up for them. Ahmed Musa was a cheerleader on the bench the whole time for Nigeria. It's embarrassing to see that guy still play for Nigeria or in professional football. He shouldn't be there, and Awoniyi should have been there. Even Alaya Adebayo would have been a better choice for Nigeria.
Yeah, no, it's true. And they're just, I look at that club and I feel like, Matt Turner in goal, your favourite keeper.
Your twin.
But I'm concerned for him. I think Nuno probably knows he's got his work cut out now.
I like that he's putting a shift in though, Nuno Tavares. I've wanted to see him put a shift in for a long time, and he couldn't really do it at Arsenal. He's doing it at Nottingham Forest because he has to do it. And that was famously where he got subbed off in the first half. Once upon a time as well in an FA Cup game. So it's good to see.
Say no to racism.
Say no to racism, and he had the white kit, so say no to knife crime as well in that game, which is good to see. But it's good for Nottingham Forest because they've got some young players that they can develop a team. I still think they're going to be safe from relegation. We've got them coming up in the FA Cup, so I'm not going to give them any sympathy now because Morgan Gibbs-White is turning into the player that they spent £42 million on, as opposed to signing Jesse Lingard for free on a 200k contract, which didn't really work out for him at all. Now he's in FTCL.
You think Gibbs-White is worth that money?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's going to be a poster boy for Nottingham Forest for a good 2-3 years before he moves on to a bigger club. I think he's got the quality to be playing for the likes of Arsenal. If you were to have got him next season, I'd say I think he'd be a fantastic player for Spurs. If they didn't have gone for James Maddison, I think Gibbs-White would have been fantastic. And I think Gibbs-White is a player that, again, if you're not watching him, you're not going to notice him. But if you're watching him week in, week out, or you're seeing him on TV, he's a good player and he can score goals, a bit of character, a bit of showman about him as well. And I like to see that in a player. But realistically speaking, he's a player that worked really, really well with Steve Cooper. Because he was there at the under-17s England team as well.
Ball, man.
I had to make sure I didn't say the wrong surname as well. I didn't want to be racist to Steve Cooper. But again, him, Callum Hudson-Odoi, they were both there for Steve Cooper and under-17s. But unfortunately, Taiwo Awoniyi had to stay in Nottingham and he couldn't go to the Ivory Coast. But one player who I thought has been pretty good this season is Anthony Gordon for Newcastle United. And I said recently, again, Gordon is a better player for me than Pedro Neto. A lot of people have disagreed with me on that one. Each to their own, but I think he's got some flair, a bit of samba about him as well in his game. And the person that the person that did stand out was someone from a samba background in Bruno Guimaraes. Talk to us about how Bruno Guimaraes has been one of the best modern signings in the Premier League history, because I just think is fitting like a glove at Newcastle United. It's been fantastic. Not an OJ glove, but a really good glove nevertheless.
Wait, put up for that one.
Out of nowhere, out of pocket.
Yeah, you know what? He started very well. I feel like he went off the boil a couple of months ago, and he wasn't really performing the best. But you can see slowly getting to form, and great finish outside of football as well. Newcastle kind of need him to be at the top of his game to win certain games, because they've been unlucky with injuries. They've lost HOJLUND for the season. Isaac, I'm not sure when he's coming back. Wilson's out as well. So they kind of need him and Gordon to be, top notch. But
did Wilson play yesterday? I
don't think. Am I bugging? I don't think he did.
Or did he go off injured? No, he played yesterday. He started yesterday.
Did he go off?
He started.
He started again. But
yeah, Matt, you still know football is fine.
Do you know what? Maybe I'm so pissed because I had Gordon in my FPL team. Eddie Howe said he's injured. I took him out.
He did say that. He did. That's why I don't play FPL anymore, because I'm just like, nah, this is crazy.
You see what I'm saying?
And they both came back in the team. Wilson and Gordon started.
That really got to me. But no, yeah, with Newcastle, I feel like that whole thing with them top four, I think that they've ignored it now. I think it's gone. They're not thinking about that. Now it's all about...
I disagree. I think they're still going for it. I think
so.
I think so. They're out of the Champions League. I'm not sure if they're still in the FA Cup. Are they in the FA Cup? Yeah, let me have a check. I don't know football about the RFA. Yeah, they're playing Blackburn in the FA Cup. Yeah. Remember, they're only 6th, and there's 14 more games to go in the season. They are 10 points behind 4th. Newcastle United will still be looking at top 4. They have the quality in their squad to come back into it. If they don't want us to think about them in the top 4, it's because they don't want us to think about it at all. Because you'll be thinking, Man United, maybe West Ham, maybe Spurs.
I just think with Man United, he's with Man United. I always feel like you lot are always there anyway. You're there or there. No matter how bad a run you go on, you always somehow find yourselves around there. And
more times than not, we will get that top 4 because we do. Like, we can see it's like 8th in January, and then we'll end up just 3rd as we normally do as well. I'm like, okay, cool, we can accept it. But with Newcastle, it's about having those injuries coming back in, because you're looking at some of these players. Matthew, you alluded to it earlier as well. Joelinton's out for the season. Willock is in and out of the side as well. I don't know when he's going to come back in. Lewis Miley still has to come back in, and Harvey Barnes has returned from his injury. Again, it's really good to see some of these young players come through. But again, Nick Pope's still a big miss for them as well, Matthew.
With Nick Pope as well, though, the thing with Newcastle, I feel as they go on, they're going to look to kind of change that goalkeeper. I feel look now for the modern goalkeeper, it's a sweeper keeper, good with their feet. But they miss Nick Pope in terms of coming to claim the ball, shot stopping ability. Because Dubravka, like the first couple of games was all right. It was awful in the last game against us. What he was doing for Elanga's goal, I honestly have no clue.
Yeah.
But I think, they really struggle with him. I think who's their next keeper? Is it Cole Darlow?
No, Loris Karius.
Oh, Loris Karius. Oh, my. Darlow left, didn't he? Darlow went to...
I think Darlow's still in the team. Carl Darlow.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember what he was. Karius, oh my gosh. So, they need to stick with the...
Darlow left, so you do know football is at Leeds United. But it's still a backup player there. Don't you find it odd, Matthew, that a player just goes through his career being a backup keeper?
Scott Carson, mate. Look at Scott Carson.
Chris Kirkland had a couple good seasons at Wigan and just backup keeper forever. Right.
Remember Stuart Taylor as well? Richard Wright?
Rob Green after the England debacle, after West Ham, just backup keeper at Chelsea.
Yeah. Some people like being the backup dancer, man. That's it.
Ortega, that's another one as well. Ortega for Man City. Christian, no, he wasn't one either. No. But that's another topic for another day as well. But you're looking at it and you're like, when Dubravka's in, he's still a number 1 keeper for me, but just not at Newcastle. He could be a number 1 keeper if you're looking at like Luton or Sheffield United. Like we said, Fotheringham isn't as good as he thinks he is. But that's something I like to talk about a lot, because Fotheringham is not a good keeper at all.
Exactly. I don't rate him at all, Fotheringham. And Dubravka, they need to change it. And Lewis Miley's been a shining light. So I feel like no matter what's happened this season, they can always look back to the Lewis Miley. That
was very funny. There was that meme of Chris MD on a Sky Sports show. Start, bench, sell. He started Miley, he benched Bradley, and he sold Mainoo, and you're just like, what are you doing? Like Mainoo.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I was like, come on.
Mainoo rattled the whole of Villa Park today, and you're just like, this is crazy. He passed the Douglas Luiz test basically, which is great to see from Kobe Mainoo. But just to round off the live stream, we've got to look at the Premier League table, and I'm looking at the table now. Everton, Burnley, Sheffield United still, still in the bottom three. Everton still with their points deducted as well. If they didn't have their 10 points deducted, they'd be above Fulham, so they'd be in 12th. And I'm looking at the table now. Aston Villa in 5th, Spurs stay in 4th position as well. Arsenal and Manchester City drawing on points. Man City are a game down from Liverpool and 2 points behind them. But again, my shock this weekend as well, Matthew, before we get on to your shock of the weekend, is seeing how Brighton and Hove Albion gave away their lead at Spurs, because it just shows that Spurs are a different animal this season. That's my biggest shock. And I'm quite happy to see that Brighton and Hove Albion are getting a bit more humble now as well, because their fans really got into Graham Potter back in the day when he was there. And Graham Potter was quite blunt. It's like, remember, we are Brighton. We're not Man United or Arsenal. We are Brighton. And their fans are getting a lot more humble now as well, which is great to see. Was there a big shock for you this weekend in the Premier League?
For me, the Sheffield United one. Sheffield United beating Luton. I don't think.
Not Arsenal.
I think if that was at Bramall Lane. No, the reason why not Arsenal was I expected us to beat them.
Oh, you expected a 6-0 win. You expected Declan Rice to be man of the match.
No, but you know what is, if you think about it, Andrew, yeah? When we got Emirates, had all them chances, they beat us 2-0, cool. Last season, we drew them 2-2.
Biggest smash and grab I've ever seen as well.
You know what I mean? Like, last season, we drew them 2-2. Saka missed the pen call to make it 3-1. But we battered them that first half. And I said in the podcast I did earlier as well, I said, if we take our chances, it could be bad. We're a bit wasteful at times, you know what I mean? And West Ham just surrendered. So that's not really a shock to me. For me, it's the Luton one, because I felt like Kenilworth Road, the performances they put in against the big team, I thought, man, they're going to dust us, United. But
maybe they should do it for the cameras. Maybe they just don't do a 3 o'clock one as well.
Maybe. Listen, we'll all go and catch a game with their ones. You know, we'll go walk through someone's back garden to get to the stadium. We'll do that.
Got to see Tengi Mengi come off the bench, Tahith Chong, Sambi Lokonga as well. Got to see our former players shining at Luton Town, which would be a fun conversation to have, a fun day out as well. I know our boy Joshua Adudonk will sort us out with co-commentator tickets as well, getting through in the press, which would be great fun. But that's been a great fun weekend of football. AFCON, obviously, Nigeria losing 2-1 to Ivory Coast. And the fact that Ivory Coast, you're looking at Ivory Coast and you're like, they came back in their home nation. It was absolutely crazy. Qatar winning the Asia Cup was crazy as well. And the Champions League is back this week, which is a big topic of conversation.
I was going to do the whole, who are you guys playing it? They thought, no, Hamza, I'm joking. I'm not going to say it. I'm not gonna do it.
Don't do it. There's no need to do it. There's no need to do it at all. Don't even need to talk about the biggest shock of Scott McTominay scoring the winning goal. I was saying earlier, it's like McTominay could have scored the winning goal against Wolves if we defended properly, but we didn't. So it had to be Kobe Mainoo coming in last minute as well, which is crazy. But everyone, I want to say thank you very much for watching our live stream. Follow us on our social medias, which you'll see in the description below. Matthew, again, thank you very much for your time. Everyone, thank you very much for your time. Take care. We'll see you later.